Today, our class will be about energy and the economy. Okay, so economy, don't worry too much. As usual, my class will always try to, link you to other things as well. So today, there will be quite a number of things related to history. Okay, ada tentang economy. So kalau tak faham, it's okay. We are learning together, right? Now, energy and economy, of course, first things first, kita akan mula dengan the learning outcome. So the learning outcome for today is very simple to describe the links between supply and demand. Okay, it's a very generic term, especially for when we're talking about economy. Yes, because economy itself is a very broad term, right? And we are looking in the perspective of energy. Okay, as you all have learned since the very beginning, energy, of course, we have our own requirement, we have our own demand, okay, we have our own supply, of course. But if we go one level higher, in a country's perspective, okay, that's where the economy comes in, because we have our own personal economy, okay, things to do with budget and stuff. But at the level of the country, that's where the direction of the country will go. Yes, we can see the significance, right? So, what is economy? Apa sebenarnya ekonomi ni? Right? So there are many different definitions, basically. Okay, and one of the easiest definition that basically describes it all is the state of a country or region in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services, okay, and the supply of money. It's clear because we have goods, we have services, okay, how those things, how those elements are produced, okay, and then how it reaches the consumers, how it's consumed. Okay, that's basically what economy is. And if you go further, tengok dekat Oxford Dictionary, the definition, it's a social domain that emphasizes the practices, discourses, and material expressions, okay, associated with the production, use, and management of resource. Okay, so guys, sorry, baru dapat notification, my internet connection is quite unstable, so please bear with me for the any fluctuations, okay, in the middle. But don't worry, as usual, class is recorded, so you guys can always catch back on YouTube. Okay, just to highlight that. So, in economy, I know we are not, we do not have backgrounds in economy. I'm not sure. Adakah kat sini, you guys who have learned economy? Ke semua memang science based?
Semua science.
Semua science. Okay. So it would be a general knowledge juga lah when we are talking about economy. Okay, guys. So there are a lot of economic indicators. Okay. But what I want to highlight here is this one, price of crude oil, okay, which is surprisingly one of economic indicator. Kenapa? So why is that actually? Okay, and that is what we are going to learn more about next, right? But before that, okay, you guys are all ramai yang on phone ke tu? Are you guys on the phone? Because I want to do this, set a poll, okay, I'm just going to give you 2 minutes. Very easy, very, I just want to know the level of knowledge. Okay, so nampak kan soalan? Kau tak poll dekat your
Nampak,
screen?
Doktor.
Okay, cool. Then please answer that. Okay. So don't worry, there is right or wrong answer. Okay, tapi right now we just want to look at, I just want to look at the general knowledge, okay, in terms of this. So pilih je. Ada dua option je tu, price increase ke price reduce, according to this different situation. Okay, dah ada seorang jawab. Seorang ni, mana yang lain ni? Okay, dah laju tiba-tiba, sekarang ada 6 orang.
Indonesia price increase ke price reduce?
Ha? Itu tak je kat saya ke? Cuba je jawab. Sikit lagi, dah lebih half dah jawab. Cuma this type of quiz tak ada markah lah eh. This is for first basic knowledge. Nak tengok. Okay, lagi, okay, sikit lagi. 3 more people. Oh, I guess 2 more people. Okay, one last person. Okay, done. Alright, so let me just share the results. First, what happens to oil price when oil spills occur? So ramai jawab price increase. Betul tak? Yeah, actually betul eh. We will look at why, okay, in the next few slides, okay, and some of the discussion. Tapi it's very good indication. Okay. Second, during a financial crisis, okay, jadi 50-50. Ada yang cakap increase, ada yang cakap reduce. Okay, we'll see. Tengok what happens lepas ni. What about when oil reserve breaks down? Price increases. Ramai yang jawab. Okay, the majority. Okay, and this is actually correct. Okay, the price increases. Let's see a situation where the employees are involved in strikes. What will happen to oil price? Okay, price increase, price reduces. Surprisingly, ramai jawab reduce. Okay, apa we see, kita kena tengok apa sebenarnya, what are the underlying mechanisms behind this. Okay. Right, first things first. Kita tahu, we all know that oil, when we talk about oil, basically people think about transportation, kan? So just about gasoline, pergi ke minyak, you want to fill up your car, right? But also, we have also learned about power plants, okay? And there are some petroleum products that are being used as an energy source, okay, in power plants. Right? But it doesn't stop there. Actually, things from oil, okay, so basically petroleum products. Petroleum products is all encompassing. You can find it almost everywhere. Okay, in toys, dalam your makeup, right? Clothing, textiles, agriculture, furnishing, a lot of different products uses oil. Okay, so in this situation, okay, semua create apa sebenarnya? Okay. We have a lot of people, you know, wanting to buy something. Okay. And that creates what? Ada jawapan kat sini.
Demand.
Demand, yes, exactly. So kita ada demand. So I'm sure that you guys also already know, okay, when we have high demand, okay, but we have low supply, prices will go up. Okay, that's the basic understanding about supply versus demand, right? And of course, you know, this also relates to when you look at the world population, and I think we've gone through this in the first and second week. Okay, the relationship between the population and the energy usage. Okay, the more people is, the more energy they need. Okay, and mana energy tu datang? Right? If we are talking in terms of power plants tadi, electricity, then definitely, you know, coal definitely is one of the biggest portion, right? But nowadays, power plants have shifted also to using natural gas. So what natural gas is, you know, less polluting, and then it is also cheaper, surprisingly, compared to coal. Okay. So when you look at a barrel of oil. So usually in the market, okay, people sell oils by barrels. Okay, so in 142 gallon oil barrel, okay, yang besar tu, as usual, example saya barbecue. Okay, so siapa yang pernah buat barbecue dalam tong yang besar tu, so that is 1 barrel. Okay, 1 barrel tu creates, less than half is actually turned into gasoline. The rest goes into other stuff. Okay, so all these different things. Okay, and lagi satu, price of crude oil ni. Okay, remember what is crude oil? Crude oil yang from the extracted directly, and then you go to the refinery process, and you have all these different products. Hopefully you still remember that in our lecture on energy resources. Okay, so around 43% of the gas cost comes from crude oil. Okay, and the rest comes from the other things. So you have refining, you have distribution, you have marketing, you have tax. Okay, and these other things, okay, does not usually fluctuate. Okay, the price is usually the same. It is the price of crude oil sebenarnya yang very volatile. Okay, and not only that, many factors also affect crude oil price: seasonal demand, okay, commodity speculation, and the volatility of currency. And we'll look into this more a bit later today. Okay. Right. So very simple thing I want to ask from you guys. When you look at this graph, what do you see? Okay, by the way, this is crude oil price. Here is the price. This is the year. Okay. So what do you think? Just a basic observation. This is apa tak? Come on guys. Kat sini macam mana? Kita panggil ni apa ni?
Fluctuation.
Fluctuation, yes. Okay, fluctuation sebab okay, bila you tengok up to this point kan, ini quite stable kan, betul tak? It's quite stable, and then you start having all this fluctuation. So biasanya kita panggil fluctuation lah, right? We have all this fluctuation, and remember this is price tau. Tengok sekarang we are probably around here. Ni dulu tengok berapa harga, very cheap, and the period where it is cheap is very long. Oh my god, sorry about that. Okay, and then you have a period where it's like that. Okay, so crude oil price ni is very volatile, and there are reasons for it. Okay, and we look at that very soon. Kejap, saya nak delete. Okay, now what happened here? Apa jadi kat sini? Suddenly, sebelum tu 100 years, the price was very cheap. Tiba-tiba sampai kat sini naik, right? So what happened then? Before you want to answer that, anyone knows what OPEC is? OPEC. Pernah dengar tak? Hopefully benar kalau tengok berita. Paris cakap something ke? Tak dengar.
OPEC tu legap
Legap. Okay, so OPEC itu satu. OPEC ni OPEC. OPEC yang tu OPEQE. Yang tu memang legap lah. Ni OPEC. Okay, tak apa. Saya tunjuk sekejap lagi. This one is OPEC. Okay, what is OPEC? Question dia kat sini. OPEC ni, kalau tengok kat sini, ni negara-negara kan. So basically, OPEC is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Okay, so we have OPEC. Okay, and OPEC ni actually started in 1960. There are a few countries, okay, yang called as founding members lah, right? And then in 1960, later on, it was joined by two more countries, Qatar and UAE. So basically, OPEC means they control 40% of the world's oil supply. Okay, and because they have that peak production, they have sort of a monopoly lah kat situ. They have monopoly, so determine the price per barrel for their oil. Okay. So what happened when suddenly the price tu naik tadi kan? So that was the first thing that happened. It's called oil crisis of 1973. Okay, so in 1973, there was a war, okay, or Yom Kippur War, right? And it's also called as Ramadan War as well. Okay, kenapa? Because in Yom Kippur War ni, ada dua country, which is Egypt and Syria. Okay, they attack Israel, right? Saya tahu sekarang Palestinian punya, sentiments is very high. Okay, so it's useful also to look at the history related to that. Okay, so in 1973, Syria and Egypt attacked Israel. Okay, and we know that US is a supporter of Israel. Okay, and US President Nixon gave a $2.5 billion arms, okay, to help Israel. Okay. And in retaliation, OPEC ni they buat embargo because they have the monopoly. Okay, they put up an oil embargo. Okay, by the way, embargo kat sini ada kat bawah ni. Trade barrier in which the government places restrictions on imports and exports of certain goods. Okay, bila dibuat embargo, so you can see here as well, Kuwait near duta the US. Okay, we will use oil as a means of putting pressure on countries that take a side with Israel. So if we have any evidence of country taking a side, there will be an embargo. Okay, so basically, that's what they do. Okay, during that time, have the oil embargo and the gas supply drop. Okay, remember just now, you have the demand. Even if you have a stable demand, but suddenly the supply drop, definitely the price will go up. Okay, and it's expected basically because of this situation, right? So you can imagine lah, basically back then, after a period of, so let's just imagine, sekarang ni it's like 270 per liter. You guys pergi isi minyak dekat petrol. And then suddenly tiba-tiba esok price dia RM30. Ke mana tu? Okay, you can imagine that's kind of the situation that was back then. Okay, and this is what is faced by individual. But can you imagine the industry, for example? Industry yang memang gunakan banyak, they need a lot of oil products, for example. Okay, so in the end, ingat tak tadi economic indicator ada apa? Kita ada GDP, kita ada the unemployment rate. It all correlates tau. Okay? So you don't have just one thing that affect the other. It's a very delicate situation. Right? This one thing. Okay. Tengok balik graf ni. Okay. Nombor 2. So kat sini dah naik. And then dia macam stable sikit. Tiba-tiba lagi sekali naik. Okay. Comes up and very, very sharply as well. Right? What happened? Okay. Again, there was a war. So not exactly a war, it was Iranian Revolution. Okay. And this happens in 1979. So dekat sini dia maybe tak jelas sangat but here is like 1979, the prices started to go up again. So this is basically related to Iran lah. Okay, so previously, before that, Iran was a monarchy. Okay, the system beraja, right? But the problem was back then, this monarchy system was backed by the Western countries. Okay, and there was a revolution to change Iran into a republic, right? This one, kalau sesiapa kenal Khomeini, so this is in Freedom Square. This is called Freedom Square. So kalau you tengok this building, okay, it's a very iconic situation. So even now, I think they sort of celebrate this, okay, and they make diorang berhimpun lah basically at this square, right? So what happened here? So during this situation, they have strikes. Okay, if you guys remember one of the questions just now about strike, kan? Okay, increase ke turun? Okay, bila ada strike, right, production akan jatuh. Tetap, sebab there's no worker. Diorang tak bekerja, right? So what happened is the supply drops, demand as usual goes up, price will go up. Okay, so if you look here in late 1979 and by January 1979, crude oil production declined by 4.8 million barrels per day, 7% of world production at the time. So kita nampak macam sikit tapi sebenarnya during this time, other countries that are not related to this situation, they try to supply more, tapi they can only supply 2%, additional 2%. So ada lagi 5% sebenarnya of the world's demand yang tak mampu nak dipenuhi lah. So I can say that, right? And of course, eventually it leads to rising price. So you can imagine from $13 increase to $34. Very, very stark difference between the two, right? So, okay, tengok lagi ni. Masih lagi saya highlight. So, dia naik-naik. Tiba-tiba sampai kat sini, turun. Okay, comes down. So, what happened? Saya tanya kenapa. Bagi saya pun tak lahir lagi. Saya pun tak tahu apa jadi exactly. So, just kidding. We have, in that, during that time, okay, the world has already gone through 2 gas crises. Okay, and definitely there are things that have been done, okay, to mitigate this kind of situation from reoccurring, right? First things first, of course, oil producers, they start to invest in exploration and production. So if before this, they are totally dependent on, OPEC, oil, okay, they start to go out, okay, and discover new fields. Okay? And then in the previous decade, there was a few very large oil fields found, okay, for example, in the Northern Sea, Norway, Alaska, and Mexico. Okay, so what happened after this was after the 1980s, they started to produce, okay, and they produce it substantially. A lot of oil has been produced from these new fields. Okay, so basically you have now an overabundance of supply. Okay, demand masih sama. Okay, maybe the growth of demand is very, very low. Okay, but the supply is too much. Okay, and suddenly the price drop. That is one reason. Secondly, ada crude oil price control. Okay, so this one is lebih pada, we are more familiar with subsidy. So previously, kalau dulu kita tengok our oil price, kalau kita pump minyak, always the same. Okay, tapi sekarang kan kita dah tukar sikit kan, so every week there will be changes, right? But there are countries where they pay at market price. Okay, for us it's different because the difference is subsidized by the government. But in other countries where they pay the market price, the price control is something like Tesla. So it's some sort of subsidized juga. Okay, so without this, okay, sebenarnya, if you have the price control, Okay? You don't really curb usage though, because you don't really feel that the price is going up. Okay, so consumers, they don't really control their usage. Okay, so now when that control ends, okay, consumers now has to think, oh, okay, so diorang kena betul-betul strategize. Okay, what happen kalau harga naik, okay, terlalu tinggi, they won't be able to afford it, so they have to strategize lah their usage, right? And that helps the price to go down, okay, because because the demand also goes down. And basically, okay, saya terlepas this one, oil demand had also decreased. This is as a result of, from the two gas crises juga. Okay, so people, if you just Google 1973 punya gas crisis, okay, there's a lot of things that people do back then. Okay, so they come up with more efficient energy punya, energy saving punya appliances, okay, cars that use less gas. Okay. Sort of very similar bila korang buat energy audit hari tu. Okay, so I hope when you do that assignment, okay, remember ada one portion where it discusses the habits. Okay. So that habit actually links to this as well, how you want to, you know already your usage, how much you have to pay, okay, and you have to control that. Okay. And lastly, ada tentang long-term oil contracts versus spot market. So Haris ada sini tak? Sekejap saya tengok kat participant. Alamak, Haris ada lah. Baru nak tanya dia. Because I remember, if you guys remember Padlet nya itu. Okay, our first assignment. So ada yang berminat about trading, about stocks. So you guys, kalau anyone is interested, nanti later on kita tengok on that. Okay, but basically long-term oil contracts versus spot market ni, it leads to futures contract. Okay, and we will look into this a little bit in detail kejap lagi. Okay. But just a very quick, takeaway. So what do you think happened to oil price? So during 2006, okay, Israel-Lebanon war raised threat of war in Iran. Okay. So rasanya dia naik ke turun price based on apa yang kita dah belajar tadi? Yo, rasa-rasa lah. What do you guys think?
Increase.
Decrease?
Increase.
Increase, okay, sorry, tak dengar. Okay, increase, betul, right? And if we have financial crisis, which mana pula? Okay, this I want to know. Tadi ada kan? But now,
Decrease.
because jawab ni kan tadi, decrease, yes. Okay, tengok the next one is this, right? So basically, yes, kalau kita ada war, okay, anything that relates to instability, usually the price will increase. Okay, whereas if it's related to demand, for example, so kenapa masa financial crisis harga jatuh? Okay, because people starts to save. Okay, and then you will reduce the demand for goods. Okay, and that helps to reduce the price because we have less demand, right? So these are all about wars and instabilities. Okay, dia bukanlah, it's not just not only depending on this. Okay, so if you look at kan tiba-tiba naik ni. Okay, so this is the 2008 punya financial crisis. Okay, and basically during that time, there are a lot of other things that happen as well that will affect how the price change, the oil price. Right? So kalau interested, you guys can always Google. Okay, you tak sempat nak go through all the things that happen. Okay, one question mungkin you guys tanya, kenapa you tengok in US per barrel? Okay, there is a reason tau. Okay. Not just because this data came from the US. It's not. Okay, there are reasons for it. Okay. So basically, just to sum up, right, in supply and demand, when demand is greater than supply, prices rise. Okay, that's definitely true. Okay, anything you can apply this not only to oil, but to other things as well. And we've already covered politics. Okay, so the situation, the political situation in a country will also affect the economy. Right? And natural disasters sebenarnya it also affects. Okay, especially so kalau saya go back one slide. So what happened here, there was Katrina, okay, Storm Katrina. There was a lot of different natural disasters as well. So that is why the price fluctuates. Okay. And then you also have seasonal demand. So seasonal demand ni, for us, we don't really feel it. Okay. But for countries that has 4 seasons, especially during winter time, they will need heater. Okay. And that will drive the demand up. Okay. So usually this will lead into higher prices. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Okay. That is based on the supply and demand, but we do have other things as well. We have futures and commodities traders. Okay, so this is for those siapa yang berminat on trading, okay, and investment lah basically. And then currency, okay, value of dollar is very it's also an indication of economy for other countries as well. Okay, so investment, I just want to know lah daripada yang ada kat sini kan. As usual, pergi dekat atas, pergi dekat annotate, and you just list whatever you can think about investment. Okay, go to annotate kat atas. Kita pernah buat this one kan. So you can either draw, lah. Tapi siapa on the phone, I think you have no choice. But who is on your computer, you can use text. Okay, so you can type that. So just apa-apa je yang you guys terfikir tentang investment. Di bank ke. Right? Ada tak? Come on guys. Boleh kan? Tulis. Dah ada seorang. Okay, come on guys. Oh, I like that word. Tulis je, tak ada right or wrong answers. Just to know what you can relate to when you look at investment. Okay. Kalau you buka mas exactly tu, siapa yang nak pergi haji ada relation tak? Bearish and bullish. Haris, apa bearish and bullish ni?
Apa tu?
Dekat chat, bearish and bullish ni.
Kalau bearish dia pergerakan menurun.
Okay.
Kalau bullish dia pergerakan naik.
Oh, okay. Ni memang terlibat dengan investment ke? Patutlah. Okey lah boleh jawab. Okay, ramai jawab stock. Okay, betul. So actually, we're talking about investment kan. That's a lot. Okay. You guys have, ada lagi nak tambah ke? ASB, you guys rasa investment tak? Siapa yang Malaysian? Sekejap saya nak save this one. Okay, kalau kita tengok lah. Right. Next slide. Right. Ada banyak tau investment. It can be, kalau sesiapa pernah dengar Bitcoin, Bitcoin pun ada elements of investment. Gold definitely, you can, okay, ingat orang-orang tua kita kan selalu beli emas, simpan. Ini kenapa? Sebab harga emas tu is one of the most stable punya commodity tau. Okay, there are reasons for it. Okay. You can have things like unit trust. Okay, siapa-siapa pernah dengar public mutual ke, right? Tabung haji actually is one. ASB, sesiapa yang ada account ASB, you are doing investment for your future, right? And there are others as well. Ada je macam Wahid ni, this is robo punya invest. Okay, if you've ever heard about that. Okay, so kenapa saya highlight ni? Okay, investment actually it also relates to the economy as well. So for us, siapa-siapa yang terlibat investment, yang beli stock ke, so usually we have small capital kan. So you usually deal with small amount of money. But in terms of, okay, sekejap. Saya kena clearkan dulu ni. Okay. So, kalau kita tengok in terms of oil, okay, there are what is called futures. Siapa pernah dengar. So, commodity lah. Basically, commodities, you can trade them on the stock market. Okay, example of commodity ni, it can be oil, can be gold. Ada juga kalau in the US, they even trade things like wheat, gandum, yeah, and price will be hedged with what is being traded. Okay. If we focus on oil, okay, traders ni, they can buy oil and gas at the commodities futures market. So bila ada futures ni, something, of course lah, dia related to future, tapi apa sebenarnya dia? Right? So what it is actually, it's contract for future delivery. Okay, and the traders ni, they will bid tau. Macam, okay, dia rasa in the next 3 months, the price of oil will be like this. Okay, so they will bid, and then basically that price is what they pay. Okay, but the thing is, that price, it's not the current price tau. Okay, you are trying to predict based on current supply, okay, future supply, and demand. Okay. And actually, the thing is, traders ni, usually they buy the contract, okay, and then they sell it for a profit. Okay. So both gas and oil prices are affected by the ups and downs in these future contracts because they predict on the future. You never know, because kalau kita tengok tadi, supply and demand, okay, it's not clear cut. Maybe something happened. Okay, and that is exactly what happened masa COVID, right? So masa COVID, maybe I can go just sekejap dekat sini. 2019 jatuh price from here to here. Okay. Kenapa? Sebab masa COVID, your transportation is limited. Okay, ingat pengguna gas and oil tadi, siapa? The transportation punya ni kan? Okay. And this, when this is limited, okay, of course supply is still the same, but the demand drop. Okay, definitely will reduce the price. Okay. So that is related to commodities punya trader. Okay, so if any of you are involved in trading, kan, who are all traders lah. It doesn't matter lah, small trader ke, big trader ke. Okay, but my point here is, it's has an effect to the economy. Okay. Now, currency, tadi saya ada highlight kan, kenapa dollar? Okay, value of dollar ni actually is quite important. The US economy is very important to the rest of the world because dollar is the international currency. There was an agreement called Bretton Woods Agreement, okay, and this basically nominated the US as the international currency. Okay. Why? Sebab US, they actually have the world's largest gold reserve. Okay, so they can actually, if something happen to their currency, okay, dia boleh bayar balik menggunakan dia punya reserve sebab dia ada gold yang banyak. Right? So it may be a bit confusing, but these are all in terms of economy. Okay, but I think it's very, very useful to you guys as well. Okay. So basically all contracts, tadi cakap pasal futures tadi kan, they are all denominated in dollars. Okay, because of this, because the US dollar is international currency. So actually during kalau korang perasan in 2008 there was a financial crisis. During that time harga naik because the dollar depreciated. Okay, harga dollar tu jatuh. So with the same amount of oil, okay, countries get less money basically. Okay, and that, you know, increases the production because they want to get to a minimum level that they have to get, you know, the OPEC countries, for example. Okay. So kena tengok, there are a lot of things, okay, currency, tadi cakap pasal trading, okay, supply and demand. So definitely things that are out there, okay, that affects the economy. When we specifically look at energy in the form of oil. Okay, so there ada banyak. So basically, as a conclusion, economy and energy are closely related, okay, demand and supply, especially because we, as mentioned before, it's very delicate situation, okay, and it has it can be different according to the different situation in the country. Which is why nowadays we have, I mean, the world is going towards policy to transition energy towards renewables. Okay, so it's not only because of the environment, okay, that is one of the major reasons, but the energy security is also an issue. Okay, you have to be able to supply, okay, enough energy to the country. Okay, so if you're talking in the perspective of a country, you have to have secure energy for your people, for us, for citizens. Okay, and this basically drives, you know, policies towards changing into renewables, for example. Okay, so I want to do one last thing. I know that now it's already 6:45. Okay, kejap lagi. But I have to stop sharing first. Okay, kejap So far so good semua? Kita?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Okay.
Tak ada yang tidur Okay, sorry. Kejap Okay, just doing this. Kita just go 3 je. Okay, I just want to see. So, in this situation, 2008. Tapi ni tak aci lah, tadi dah cakap. Okay, tak apa. It's fine. Okay, in August 2015, the supergiant natural gas field was discovered on Egypt's shores. Okay, so what do you think happens to the global gas price? Rasa-rasanya. Tiba-tiba ada gas field discovered. Anyone? Apa tembak? Tapi itulah based on yang kita dah belajar tadi. Okay, tiba-tiba ada oil reserve discovered.
Down?
Okay, ada orang cakap down. Siapa cakap down ni? Nampak. Aku pula. Tahu dah apa. Najwa, okay. Down. Amir Syafiq pun down. Okay, biar kita tekan down.
Down.
Correct. Nanti dia buat 2%. Correct, betul lah tu. Kenapa? Sebab tadi kan kita dah tengok kan, bila dia ada new gas field, okay, kita boleh cakap dia supply will increase lah kan. Even though masa ni belum lagi, dia baru discover, dia belum lagi jual. Tapi what happens to the stock market? Stock market, orang-orang yang trader ni dia dah fikir dah, oh in the future definitely price akan turun. Okay, sebab dah ada banyak gas. Okay, so that's what happens here. Even though baru je discover, bukan dia dah start produce pun. Okay, nampak tak situ? Okay, this is one. Okay, sorry. Actually, this is an app dalam, so siapa yang ada Android boleh selesai je can learn about new stuff kan. Okay, this is very interesting as well. 2010, Icelandic volcano erupted causing chaos for the aviation industry. Okay, macam mana? What do you guys think? How did the market shares react? Kalau segan dalam chat pun boleh. Naik ke turun? Rasa-rasa lah.
Up.
Up. Okay, ada yang cakap up. Setuju ke nak tekan up ni?
Setuju.
1, 2, 3. Okay, setuju. Saya tekan up. Sorry, dia lambat sikit. Alah. Okay. Kita kena tengok bila berlaku betul volcano eruption. Okay. Bila volcano tu, rasa tak ada kupu-kupu yang banyak meletus tu. Okay. So the aviation industry, flight tak boleh fly. Sebab diorang, they have no visibility. Okay. Bila dia tak boleh fly, loss lah. Dia punya, apa tu, they will see loss, especially in the transportation, the air flight punya businesses. Okay, they lost money sebab diorang tak boleh fly, right? And that leads to the stock market going down. Okay, okay, last. Kita pilih dulu. Sekali. Okay, iPhone. Siapa yang pakai iPhone? I know that this is not related to energy, kan? Tapi it's good to, you know, if you can link what's happening in the world towards the stock market. And stock market ni is an indication of the economy juga. Okay, so in June 2007, the first iPhone was released. Okay, so what was the market reaction? Last question. Apa yang korang rasa? Up, okay. Amir cakap up. Yes, dia pun cakap up. Okay. So saya tekan up You are right. Congratulations. Dah boleh jawab exam. Okay, baiklah. So basically iPhone ni, first when they, kalau if you follow the market kan, whenever iPhone ni dia announce new product, you punya shares will go up. Okay, sebab the investors rasa macam, oh akan ada new product, okay, people will start buying and that will drive the market up. Okay, so people will start buying the stocks. Okay, so senang tak sebenarnya kalau kita tengok pasal you know, the stock market and stuff. It's not that hard sebenarnya. Okay, because ada banyak if you are in tune with what's happening in the world, okay, then it's easy basically. Okay. So I'm not saying that hari ni pergi buka account, pergi trading, tak. Okay, but it's worth looking into, but especially start small. Okay, start with what's easiest to you, macam ASB, tabung haji, those are very simple to do, right?